Hello psychology students. In this video I'm going to demonstrate something called the serial position effect. So like we've done in a few previous videos, I'm going to give you instructions. I'm going to get you to follow along with kind of a simple experiment and record your results, and then we'll see if you demonstrate the serial position effect. So to do this you'll need just a piece of paper where you can write down some answers, some things that I tell you to memorize. Okay, so in just a moment, I'm going to show you a series of letters and I'm going to give you about 10 seconds to memorize them. And then straight after that, we'll count down from 10 as a distraction task. And then I'll get you to write down all the letters that you can remember. So I'll give all those instructions as we go, but that's just a heads up so you're ready to go. So in a couple of seconds, I'm going to change the slide and then you'll see the letters that you'll have 10 seconds to memorize. So get ready, get set, go. Okay, that's it. Count backwards with me from 10. So out loud, 10, 9, 8, 7. Make sure you're doing it. 6, 5, 4. Out loud, 3, 2, 1. And we are done. Okay, now have a go. Write down as many of the letters as you can remember. I'll do it too. Pause the video, do that. Okay, and hopefully we're back. So I'm now going to show you those letters again. So hopefully you've finished writing them down. I'm going to show you those letters again, and we want to see how many of them you've remembered. So here are the letters. You can see I've grouped them into lots of 3. And the reason I've done that is I want you to see from each group of 3, this is just a sort of way of simplifying how we test how many you've remembered. So you can divide them up like this. So here's the ones I remembered, not really, I'm just pretending. So you can see in this first lot, I remembered all 3 in the correct order. So for that one, I get 3 out of 3. For the next one, I got 2 letters right, B and W, but I got C wrong, so that one's 2 out of 3. Here, I only got 1 letter right. It's in the wrong spot, but we're not going to worry about that because it's still in the right zone. It's in that third last quarter, so I got 1 correct there. And then in the last bit here, I got 3 letters. They're out of order, but once again, they're in that final quarter, so I'm going to count all of them as 3. So you can now do the same for your own results, your own answers. Work out in that first quarter, how many did you get right? Not worrying about the order as long as they're in that first quarter. How many did you get right in that second quarter, third quarter, and the final quarter? So again, pause the video here and add up your scores. And we're back. I hope you paused, otherwise I just sound crazy. So what we're going to do now, so I got 3, 2, 1, 3. I'm going to graph that, and I'm going to get you to do this just as a really simple graph as well, just so I can remember it was 3, 2, 1, 3. Okay, so across the x-axis here, we've got, there were 12 letters in total, so I'm going to put 3, 6, 9, 12. And across the y-axis, that's how many items we remembered. Now from each quarter, we could have remembered up to 3. So I'm going to space it out a bit and write 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so for my results, and I want you to do this for yourself, just sketched in your book, doesn't have to be too neat. For my results, for the first 3, I got 3 out of 3. For the second lot of 3, I got 2 out of 3. For the next one, I only got 1 out of 3. That's there. And the last quarter, I got, again, 3 out of 3. Not in the correct order, but I did get all of them right within that quarter. So there's my results graphed. And if I tried to draw a nice little line, it's a bit hard to do, isn't it? But presumably I got all of them right. And up like that, something like that. Okay, so this is just symbolic of the results that I got. Okay, so the question is, did your results follow something like my results? Notice that I got more at the start and more at the end and less in the middle. This is called the serial position effect. Let me write that. Serial position effect. What the serial position effect refers to is this, they call it a U-shaped result, where you have lots at the start, less in the middle, lots at the end. You can see here I've got a sort of U shape. That is the serial position effect. What that's referring to is getting more correct at the start. We call that primacy. Primacy sounds a little bit like primary, right? Like primary school, your first bit of schooling, the primary thing, the first thing you're doing. So the primacy effect is doing better with the early list of words, the early items that you're trying to memorize. The recency effect, recency sounds like recent, so they're the most recent items that I tried to remember. So here, so we expect to see the primacy and recency effect, that you do better for the early items and the last, most recent items, and worse in the intermediate section in the middle. So this is demonstrated when you're trying to memorize a list of sort of random information, and you're trying to use free recall, that measure of retention, free recall, to see how much you've retained. We expect to see the primacy and recency effect. So as you study this a little bit more, you'll get to think about, why does that happen? And maybe you can start to hypothesize, maybe you can start to work out, why does that happen? Why are we better at memorizing the ones at the start and the ones at the end, and not the ones in the middle? You can also consider, did you demonstrate the primacy and recency effects or not? That's it. That's the serial position effect. Serial meaning in order, and so it's when you're memorizing items in a particular order, you'll remember things in particular positions, the start and the end. So hopefully you demonstrated the primacy and recency effect. No worries if you didn't, but you get to learn now why that occurs.